Howdy ho, everyone, and welcome aboard. It is a brand new week, and we are live on everything, I hope, and really hope you can hear me because I'm on a brand new computer and I don't know if I've set this up properly because I'm not that good at tech, as I'm sure you all know by now. So if you can hear me, awesome. Thank you, Angel. That's fantastic. I hope I'm loud and clear. Now, because I'm on a new computer, I'm also in a precarious situation in terms of what I've got available to me. I think I've set my screens up okay and I've got the charts. That's the main thing. So I hope to get through this without being scathed too much. So let's get into it. I won't be probably in normal mode, I'd have to say, because I haven't got all my facilities available on my other screens, but fingers crossed we'll get through this. Ash will help me anyway, I'm sure, when he comes in. So the other thing you'll note, of course, is that there's a different angle. There's supposed to be a background behind me, but I've just been fluttering around so much. And Angel just sent me the new background, but unfortunately, when I changed computers, it just didn't work so much. You also noticed that I showed my beard off pretty much all of these changes. My goodness gracious me. Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, Andy. And welcome to you all. Thank you, Paul P. And hello to all of you guys as well. All right, let's start, shall we, by looking at pound US dollar. Now, I hope I'm going to share the right screen here. You should be seeing pound US dollar with a new background because I've changed. Change is as good as a holiday, isn't it? That's what they tell me anyway. So let's take a look at this. Now, we're already in a trade from when? Wednesday? Thursday? Can't remember. This is the breakout trade, of course. And I can't remember where take profit one was. I have to work it out. I'll have 2.5 times. That's right. So let me just move some control panels and we'll get into this. Are we going to trade the breakout today? Let's answer that question first. All right. Why is this way over here? There. That's better. All right. So we don't have any delineation on here. No pivots, no nothing. That's okay. I'm going to try it without anything on my chart today and see exactly what happens. So this is hourly chart. No, we're not in a range, are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, blah, 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 blah. So the range is probably going to be in here somewhere. 120 pips. Don't think I like that too much. We'll stick with what we've got and have a look and see where that take profit level actually is. Right, so there's our entry. There's our stop loss, which was 80 pips. So we're looking for 200 pips. I think we're a long way from there, frankly. Yeah, we're only at 1-to-1. What I think we should do, however, is move our stops to entry. So let's do that. I'm sure you guys probably aren't in this anyway, but I'll do it for the exercise. Now, the entry level was, goodness only knows. Let's see if we can find that. It was 138.34, let's say. So let's go to 138.34. And there you go, stops are now at entry. So this won't be losing trade full stop. And it can only win when we get to 200 pips, which will be 136.34, which is still a long ways down. 136.34, there we go. Just about there. So a long way to travel on that. So I don't think we're too worried about that, are we, guys? Probably not. Right, let's get on with the job of isolating new trades for the day and week. But before we do that, let's update what we do have in the market. The only one I can't show you is Euro CAD because I haven't got that account on this computer yet. So pound Kiwi. Oh, that shouldn't look like that. That's how it should look. And that is a trade on the monthly chart. We are below entry, as you can see, and just looking for this to pop above, obviously, the new high that we set when we were in profit on this trade. Look, I'm okay with this. I think this has still got distinct possibilities. Don't forget the structure that we're trading is very much still intact, in my humble opinion. Oh, pretty blue. Or is it pretty? Not so sure about that. There we go. So that's the structure that we're trading. We've come back inside it. We've retested it. It's probably a little bit lower than that, isn't it? Yeah, there we are. Goodness me, there's messages flying left, right, and center here. Okay, so nothing's changed here. I can't get that to go where I need it to go. It's on that low there. There we go. So yeah, nothing to do there on pound key. We'll just wait for it to unfold. Euro Swissy. Let me have a look at Euro Swissy. Daily charts coming back at us, I'd have to say, but we're well in profit here. And nothing can change that. We will close this at a profitable level, having taken 2 lots of profit, and indeed our trailing stop, which is, as I say, a little bit vulnerable at the moment if this continues to rally. If it doesn't, then I think we'll probably get a bounce off that level again and continue to go short. So happy days. Nothing to do there. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to read these messages that I'm getting while I talk to you. Euro Swissy is intact and going nowhere at the moment. We're going nowhere at the moment. The market hopefully is Aussie. Aussie's looking particularly strong for us and continues to falter against the US dollar. I was thinking very seriously about changing the stop loss on this, so trailing it a little bit further. And I'm still of a mind to do that. What's the weekly telling me? Yeah, there's not much difference, is there, really? I still think we need to give it a little bit more space. Maybe you could consider moving it to there, which would lock in another 50 odd pips. I'm going to leave it for now and see what price action gives me today, potentially even tomorrow. But I do like the look of this. It's a little bit of a complex head and shoulders here, but it's kind of there. And even if it's not head and shoulders, it's a double top, and the neckline has been broken and retested. And that's why we're seeing this fall away at the moment from a technical point of view. So nothing to do here. And if this continues to go dollar strength, you know what I feel about that. Potential, of course, has to be there, but longer term, I don't think so. We'll see how this pans out before I do anything on Aussie dollar. Euro yen. Euro yen is also in the same kind of boat, but it has stalled. It gave us a new low, gave us a new lower high, but stalled on that low. I guess there's a reason for that. And that reason is the level's pretty strong through here as support before you can see how it moved the market. Yeah, this is worth banking someone, I think, Euro yen. Where to? It's got to be in there somewhere, doesn't it? So 130, let's call it 130.57. I'm going to move my stops to there. 130.57. And that's locking in another 80 pips, roughly, 79 pips. So that one continues to go well for us. If we come back here, look, we could even look to scale in here if we get taken out, if we get a setup, of course. But at the moment, I think we're going to go into range here, maybe where our stop is even. I'm okay with that because I don't want to hang around here for 100 years inside this range. We can actually trade that. So let's leave that where it is. And I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pound Kiwi, we said. Oh, pound. We've already spoken about that. All right, let's get to the new week. And I haven't got anything on my charts, as I said, because I haven't set this computer up. And I just got this bloody account opened up on this ATW account on which we trade in Trading Buddies, open in time for the show. And I mean literally in time for the show, minutes. So I haven't really updated this. All I've got is what's in the market and pound US dollar and a couple of other things. So what I am going to do before I get into that, I'm going to say g'day to Ash.
Good morning,
Hello,
mate.
buddy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Hang on, I need to turn your volume up because I can hardly hear you. There we go. Try again.
How's that? Is that better?
I mean, good. Excellent. Now I can hear you. Now I was just explaining to the guys that I have got this new computer operating, and literally just before the show I've got it functioning, but I haven't got it functioning in full capacity. So haven't got the background behind me, but I'm working on that, and I haven't got anything else except this chart as well. So I'm a little bit in the dark. But I'm hoping to improve that as the show goes on. So what's going on in your neck of the woods, mate?
Well, there's a bit of a sell-off going on the FTSE, and the only reason I haven't participated is because we are in a buy zone, which I'm going to show you, and it's just making me a little bit wary. There's enough negativity in the market to continue to drive this lower, no question, but
why would they put a camera on the bottom of your monitor?
I beg your pardon?
The camera, it's down there. Why would it be down there? It's looking up my nostrils. Who cares about what's up there? Seriously. It should be up there.
Yeah, mine's on the top. Mine's on the top.
Yeah, well, hello. That'd be normal, wouldn't
it? Yeah.
Looking down on someone. But no. Anyway, it is what it is.
You should be getting my screen here.
Yeah, got it, mate.
I don't like it when it's that view. I like it when it's this view. If I can do this instead, that's 2. Let's try that. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so we are in a bit of a buy zone here. You can see that there is maybe just a little bit further to go, and the FTSE is easing to the downside. And as I say, I was quite keen to sell this as the market opened up, but I've just got a bit of an issue with where we currently sit. I mean, there's you can see that there's probably just enough room to get down here anyway, and it probably will touch that area as a very, very negative open so far. But I think this could be a buying opportunity, and not necessarily a buying opportunity to turn the market around. I think it might well take a little while to do that. But a buying opportunity on the day, so we might get some information that would suggest some upside. But if we kind of gather and build the evidence, there is it's going to be a tricky one. Look at the VIX. The VIX has just taken a huge hop to the upside in the Asia session, and actually, is that the Asia session? Was that from 16th? Oh, maybe that's from the last. That's the last. That's the closing bar in the session on Friday. From the session on Friday, so volatility really did pick up on the back of Friday, and it has shoved global equities lower. Look at the S&P; that's kind of easing to the downside. But again, in this kind of buy zone area, making it a bit of a tricky one to try and trade. And it's not that I don't think it's coming lower. I think it probably will, and it's just a question of whether it comes lower on the first time of asking, which it absolutely could. So possibly some further downside here. I'm just looking to see whether I can pick up just a bit of a bounce in the markets. Dollar pushing to the upside, which pushed gold lower, where we sort of like started to see gold look like it was starting to pick up some pace. It has pushed down here, but again, gold's in a buy zone, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. And looking around the data over the weekend, I don't really see why we would get a huge takeoff with the dollar. I quite fancy a CAD yen short, so that would be my trade of the week, mate, if that was an option. And the reason for that is that the obvious kind of thing with risk off brings us to the yen. And we got this developing story about the UAE managing to convince everybody else to kind of potentially increase some supply. I think they're meeting again. I'm not sure if there's been an announcement yet, but I know that there's further kind of news about the UAE maybe winning the argument somewhat of the supply that would come back into the market, and that would bring oil potentially lower, which we are starting to see. Oil is starting to drift to the downside, full 10% down from where you called it, mate, which is quite amazing. You know,
Awesome.
we literally touched the price and then just dived. So we're down 10% on oil currently. Again, in a bit of a buy zone here, so a little bit tricky, but with the UAE kind of managing to get everybody back around the table to talk about further supply. No major surprise that we're seeing oil drift lower, and subsequently we're seeing the likes of BP and Royal Dutch Shell down nearly 2% this morning. Actually, the worst performers in the FTSE 100 currently. Actually, no, there's a couple of mining stocks that aren't doing so well either, and the banking area isn't too happy. Saw a really interesting article about the exposure to the S&P that people had. And the article was really kind of discussing how the loose policy that was introduced, you know, after the pandemic, meaning that people had lots of money to kind of go out and spend, and the amount of money that went into equities at that particular point and cryptos, and the correlation, the inverse correlation, I should say, really, between global equities, when people go out and buy global equities from their personal accounts. So retail traders go out and buy global equities when they're at these elevated levels, and the forward returns that they get. There is an inverse correlation, you know, so people starting to come into global equities really when they're toppy, not getting the returns and on offer, and just really finding themselves in all sorts of trouble. So we may well have a situation like that where the main bulk of the shares now kind of coming out of the market are ones that were owned by retail traders. They will probably still hang on to them, but the institutes are now starting to kind of almost, you know, exchange their shares to all these other people that just don't have the knowledge to be able to participate in global equities. Because
I guess we need not be surprised about that.
No, and you see the allocation when the S&P and global equities start to dip. The allocation from kind of personal accounts just goes out the water and just goes out the window, and it just goes to show that there is still this buy high kind of mentality that most households that just don't understand global equities and the way financial markets work, they don't understand it, and they're still hopping in at the highest prices. And it just gives these institutes somebody to offload to, you know. So it's kind of the smart money versus the uneducated money, if you like. And it's no fault of their own. They're seeing that the market's going up. They think, okay, maybe this time I can have a piece of it. They buy in at a higher price, and all of a sudden they kind of wake up a week later, and whatever they bought into is 10% lower. So the situation could get a little bit painful for quite a lot of people, and it kind of, and the other thing that happens up at these higher levels as well is that global stocks tend to dilute the shares to get more people involved, and we've seen quite a lot of dilution going on at these higher prices as well. So there's a lot of kind of underhand play going on in these markets, and now we're starting to see this dive to the downside. But the overall take that I would have, COVID is still a bit of an issue. You know, we've got Freedom Day today as our cases are spiking. So COVID is an issue, and it may well still play out, and it may well be something quite sinister. But really, what's probably going on is just the summer correction. So as the markets are coming down, I think naturally quite interested in buying things up. And this is exactly the sorts of the point really that I'm making with people kind of getting into equities, because when prices are going up, because they just think this is the place to be, that they kind of they believe all the hype, And then when things start coming down, you don't see that that type of person getting involved. But that's really where they should be getting involved, and that's where we need to be getting involved. If we come to a weekly, the really interesting price points really are coming down to these levels here. So what we need to now calculate is the difference between the price point that we're at and this price point down here. And we're looking at around about a 5% drop to the downside. So what I'm thinking is, if we are going to start building positions here, I want to make sure I can survive a 5% drop down to here if I'm going to hold on to my positions, which I likely would if I'm going to be investing in the market rather than just trading it. So yeah, that's where we're at, mate. So got a short-term buy zone. I'm waiting for some signs and signals that this is going to hold. At this stage, they're not there. In actual fact, the signals really are for it to break through this level. So I'm not interested right now, but I wouldn't want to sell it because of where we're at. Maybe if it comes under and retests the area, and then we get the signals to sell, then that will happen. But at this stage, I'm looking for just a little bit of a dead cat bounce here.
All right, what was that currency pair you mentioned?
CAD yen. CAD yen would be the one for me, mate. And as I say, the oil play, the oil story is the negativity for the yen. The global equity play is, and the risk off play is the positivity for, sorry, the negativity for the CAD, and the global equity negativity would be the positivity for the yen.
Okie dokie, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see if we can line that up. Are you ready to move on to that?
Yeah, be great to have a look.
Alrighty, let's see what it says on the weekly chart. If I can find the control panel. I'm having a lot of fun here today. Here we go. More. No, that doesn't work. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit disorientated. Here we go. Found it. All right. Happy days. Now, let me get this chart where I'd like it to be. So what's the major structure that I see on the chart? The major structure, is there a major structure? I'm struggling, I've got to say. I see that head and shoulders. I see this head and shoulders. That's the latest thing. It hasn't come back and given us a retest. So I suppose I'm there in terms of, okay, we've had a break, but we haven't had a retest. Let me see if that lines up with anything else. Don't really think it does. So, yeah.
I tell you where I was looking, mate.
I guess I've got to go here. Yeah, sorry.
Cool. Yeah. That's the price point I was after.
Yeah, that's all I can see really from a clear point of view, and it's obviously come back below there and retested it. We're good to go straight away on that on a weekly chart. Just finding an entry, isn't it? Really, and the entry's there. The entry's there.
Yeah.
So now we've got to hope for a pullback. That's nice. That's a pretty clean break. And retest.
It is. I mean, if you look at that low there, that does look like a perfect left shoulder. So it just be a case of it can pop back up and give us that right shoulder, really. But yeah, it's going to kind of like have to match development, and we're talking about the fundamentals being kind of right for this here and now. So a pullback for a couple of weeks may well change the picture, and maybe won't be quite as attractive, which is tricky.
Okay, I think it was pretty much like last week's, which was dollar Swissy, and we were looking for a pullback to get in. It didn't happen on a bigger time frame, but I think it did on the smaller time frames. So maybe that's where we're at. Maybe I can't find a way in here at the moment. Maybe this one gives us something. Retest there looks interesting, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the weekly's telling me it's good to go. Like to see it come back to there, and that's your right shoulder there, I suppose. But here's your right shoulder. Anywhere here is good, I guess.
Yeah. Looking at that, where you would have entered what's the intraday situation there if you were to put a horizontal level, you know, on the level that you would have entered, so that low?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what would be the intraday situation there? Is there anything that we could utilize?
Well, we break and retest. There
So
it
maybe
is.
breaking back above that line.
You mean to get in now, or to get in
to get
then?
an intraday rather than, because you can't do the weekly now, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the best way for me always is going to be as a false break of resistance to get short. So there's your resistance there.
Yeah.
Nice confluence area as well. So if it could find its way back up here,
Yeah.
then get back underneath it and retest that confluence area, I think that would be an excellent entry point.
Yeah.
Same could be said for over here, but we're talking later in the week for this one. It's probably the more likely of the two, however, I've got to say. We are what? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 40 hours there. In that, you got another 40 hours, 3 days. Yeah, you're looking at Thursday, Friday for over here. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. So maybe we can keep our eye on that. But if it got up quicker and got to here, that's still an option, I believe.
Okay.
So you'd still then be getting lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high in here somewhere. Then you can have a crack. Yep, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Was there anything on the technical charts that you liked the look of, you know, that we could maybe sort of figure out, maybe the opposite way around, and check out the fundamentals for that?
Yep. Really, there were only what the best was EuroCAD, which I haven't even got up here. Let me put it on there. When I say the best, it was where is EuroCAD? Doesn't exist. How do I get that up here?
Right click.
Show
Select
all.
Show all, yeah.
Okay. So EuroCAD showing me on the weekly chart a signal that I don't really want to see, but it's there. It's not absolutely perfect either. And what I'm looking at is this bar here. Had it closed closer to its high, this would be more conclusive, but it didn't. That's not the bar you want to trade, however. This is the bar that you want to trade. And the reason is that's an inside bar on the key reversal bar. You got that key reversal bar, followed by an inside bar, enter there, stop loss there. That's already taken off, of course. If it were to come back and retest on a smaller time frame once again, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
So we're looking at CAD pairs, CAD to be short.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go with that, mate. I think there's a case to be made here, and that might come back. You know, if you draw a trend line from one of those little spikes down there, are the lows. You see the low cluster
here or here.
Yeah, but go to the high of the spike. Yeah, here. and then go right to the next spike. Whether that on that bar you meant, yeah. So that suggested there may be like something there that could bring it back for us.
Yep. That level's interesting as well. It's got every right to have a little bit of a bounce there, then come back at that.
Yes. Create an inverted head and shoulders, maybe even.
Yep. That looks interesting. Not what I really want to see, but you've got to be thinking that this is going to retest that level. I've got to be thinking that at the very least. From there, you're probably looking maybe up here somewhere. Over time to there, maybe. That looks an interesting area. But yeah, we're talking a long way from there. That's next year, next year sometime. I don't know why I'm even talking about it. But yeah, I can totally see that. And there was a little hint here that this was probably going to break to that side. and it looks as though it has. So yeah, look for a retest there, maybe an entry. There were what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 others. Now, the one I called in my analysis yesterday was this one, Aussie Kiwi short.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason for that, that's what I call a dominator, where the trend line has been absolutely smashed by price. There's also a horizontal level running through there, which is holding us up right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that defined, I don't think. Yeah, but it has provided support a lot in the past, without question. And that's why we're having a little bit of a hiccup here at the moment. But I think any retracement on that is an entry. I think we're singing the same song, aren't we? We've had the breaks,
yeah,
and now we're looking for pullbacks to get into the momentums.
Yes, yeah.
And that one's very much the same. So look, I think you could even trade this now. You could even put your entry there at market. I don't trade at market, so I'm not doing it. But if you're keen, then I think you could actually trade that bar on the weekly chart, because it is very, very strong. Yeah, short. Yeah.
And it does look like we are kind of turning around. I think I looked at the numbers from Australia yesterday, and actually they're pretty good. I mean, I know COVID is causing a bit of an issue, but they're pretty good. But again, how is Australia, the Australian dollar, going to react if we're starting to see a kind of shave of commodity prices? So there's a chance that will get affected negatively, and that would really be quite a good thing, because I don't think commodity prices are going to crash. I just think we're in a bit of a correction phase, and actually I think we both like the Aussie on the longer term, and this is actually quite healthy, to see the Aussie come down a bit, because I quite like to be a buyer of the Australian dollar. It's probably still my favourite currency, for how robust it is.
Yeah, I think the CAD's up there as well. Not right at the moment, no. Yeah, but again, same thing. This may be well providing us with an opportunity down the track. But here's the thing with Aussie Kiwi, right? Now, I say this 100,000 times a year, I think. Maybe not, maybe 50. But this thing is a classic range pair, right? It's a range trading pair. And it's either 110, this is since, 2013. It's either 110 or parity. And that seems to be where it's at. So if I put, where's my thing? I'm on the wrong tab. I'll get used to this computer, don't worry. So, if you put these levels in play, like it should be 110 to almost parity down here somewhere. I'm a little bit above 110, but you could sneak that down. Anytime you're getting over 110 since, as I say, 2013 on the Aussie Kiwi, it's time to be thinking short, because that's the range that it likes to trade in, between 110 and 10. So we have, to my mind, come off 110 or close enough to it. There's 110 about there somewhere. So you can see what I'm saying. False break, false break, false break, false break, false break. Hit the top, down, lower high, looking for a lower low now. And that's precisely why I think this is now a sell. We've smashed through that trend line, and we're looking for the bottom of this range. Whether we get there or not's another story, but I think it's an excellent opportunity to get into this. Love to see a retrace, obviously, on one of the smaller time frames. Weekly there, no problem. Daily, no problem. Gee, knocking me out, this computer. So yeah, I think that was my best technical setup for the week, was Aussie Kiwi, and I said that yesterday, I think, in my preview. But there are a few others. Swissy Yen's another one. Now, Swissy Yen is a little bit different in that we had this massive bearish engulfing bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. Everything's been inside that since. So the market's contemplating whether or not that big sell-off, and I can't remember the circumstances 6 weeks ago. I can't remember the circumstances yesterday, but that was due to other reasons. Um, but this has been inside here, since that time. The interesting part about this one to me is these two bars here would suggest that we're going long, and we haven't. And when that happens, we've got now a decisive selling bar, which is closed on or near its low. It's come off the high, which is higher than last week. So that's a key reversal bar for mine. Again, we've already been entered into that. If we traded that, I haven't. But again, a retracement here does look really interesting to me. A little bit tough to trade at this level because you're trading into these lows. But again, another lower high here really is a trigger for me to go short. I don't have that perfect entry on anything at the moment.
Yeah,
but
I suppose it's similar, isn't it? Just what I was saying about people diving in at the highs and then all of a sudden getting run over. Similar situation here, where if we dive in here at the lows and sell it off, we could easily see a decent bounce back and be in all sorts of trouble. So to buy in these areas is very dangerous. I mean, obviously, looking for buying opportunity, to sell in these areas is very dangerous. Looking for buying opportunities down here is one of the things that I'd like to do, certainly with the FTSE. But we've got to make sure we don't get caught in something which hasn't yet flushed out.
Mhm.
It doesn't appear to have done that yet. Bitcoin is another one of those examples where, yes, we could start buying here now because we've seen enough accumulation to suggest that even if it drops down lower, this is an interesting level. But we don't know at this stage whether this FTSE is definitely going to hold here and give us a bounce or not. So far it is. But I think it's the same with a lot of these. Really, what we want to see is the buyers come back in on the short term, take prices back up again to give us an opportunity to get a decent sell price. But selling here is just it's just a bit too it's a bit too dangerous, I think.
Yeah, look, totally. And that's pretty much what I base whole entries on. Is there enough room to get something in the bank before we hit those levels?
Yeah.
And that's the question mark.
Yeah.
If there is, then okay, it's probably worth a little bit of a crack, but it's not a clear entry.
No.
A clear entry is with a lower high here. And even better still, what I'm always looking for is a false break of resistance. So if we get to the resistance level and it fails, that's where you want to get in there for me. Look, but I would say this, when this goes, it's going to go hard because this means something. All of this inside bar stuff, that all really is a sign that this is going to go hard when it goes. The interesting part about this for mine is we are still above that very, 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 very strong resistance level. So that's why it's super hard, just as you just said, super hard to go short here until that clears. Got to get back underneath it, really got to get underneath it before you can go short, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When are we ever going to get rid of this bloody thing?
What's that?
2015, January 1, 2015.
Oh, yeah.
It annoys me because it distorts the charts.
Yeah.
There are more. There are a couple more.
Okay.
What else was I looking at? We've spoken about CAD yen, Aussie Kiwi, Euro pound.
Oh, yeah.
Euro pound, such a tough nut
It
to
is,
crack.
mate. I was looking
really
at this and I quite like it for some upside.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, do you know the reason that I like it for upside is not so much that things are getting negative with the pound, but I just think that most of the positivity is now being priced in. We've got the open, and I think that a lot of people were buying because the UK was kind of coming back online, but Europe's starting to shift a little bit more now, and I think that the positivity that we saw, as I say, from the UK over the last few weeks and the last few months, is probably now kind of baked into the price, and we should probably start now looking in the opposite direction until the next thing comes along. So I'd be a bit more bullish about this one, but not overly excited about it, but this level's held pretty well now for a period, and I think it possibly will again. Now I can see on that chart there. You're on the weekly there.
Yes.
I can see on that chart there. When you look at the daily, have you got a break of not quite that pattern I was thinking.
Break of where?
Well, you see that kind
of the channel.
Yeah.
Where's the channel tool?
There's somewhere at the top end of it, doesn't it?
Good God. Hang on, I'll just fix the properties up here. There we go. Yeah, you're knocking on its head.
Knocking on its head. So it's got to get through that particular point. And you know, with something like this, you're much more likely to get a break and a pullback. With some of the other stuff that's going on, there's just maybe too much fear for that to happen. But this is possibly a bit more gentle.
Yeah, not dissimilar to Swissy yen, upside down version, of course, because you've got this massive bullish engulfing bar, and we've primarily been inside that ever since. So again, this is like a well, the analogy is always a spring coiling up, isn't it? I might as well use that. I think a breakout here and a retest of this level is super encouraging for a long.
It is. Yes, it is.
So yeah, I think that's well and truly on the cards. Impossible to trade for me now because you're just going to be knocking your head into that, as I said. But if that level breaks and we get a retest of it, gee, I think that's a reasonable position to take without doubt.
Yeah.
Pound Kiwi was another, not the direction I wanted it to go, but it's showing me a key reversal bar to the downside. This may look superb next week if it does stay inside this bar, but there's also a pretty classic slingshot setup there as well as a breakout. If I take that blue line away, you'll probably see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's put that somewhere else, like there. So those of you who know the slingshot will identify this 3 candle pattern. I can't even remember what I call it. Is it the cat? I think it's the cat. I call these things different things time to time, depends who I'm talking to. But
depends on your memory.
Yeah. 353 pips to get. It's probably only about a 2-to-1 shot, really. And I'm not that interested. I'm already in the trade, so it's definitely not a scale in for me. But the slingshot setup is suggesting that if this doesn't go short, it's going to break out, and it's going to break out well to where, who knows. That's probably your first take profit level, just above the $2 mark. So yeah, look, I'm not committed to calling this one, but if this stays inside that bar and doesn't break out, then I think I'd be looking to add a short and cover the long, because I think this will go back down to here then, if that's the case. And probably the last one is Euro Swissy. Now, again, I spoke about this a little bit earlier, I think, before you came in, Ash, but this is a pretty much clear, well, a clear key reversal bar, but it's not clear that you can trade it because you're trading straight back into that level that's just been broken. But I can see that the market will look at that candle and there'll be buyers here for sure. Whether they can drive it back above this level, which is what, 108.72 as I've got it, probably 108.70.
Through that lower trend line as well from May.
From May.
Yeah, it's going to struggle there.
Yeah, you're going to be tough getting into a long there, that's for sure. So, look, I may have got my stop loss a little tight here, unfortunately, but if it's taken out, I think there's probably another opportunity to get in here. Obviously, it can only be a winning trade. Our stops well below our entry, but yeah, that candle's of concern because there will be buyers here. I've got little doubt about that. So it's just a matter of, to my mind, how far the buyers drag it. If they drag it above here, it gets a retest, then maybe we're headed in the other direction. But until that happens, I've got to stay on the short side of Euro Swissy.
Yeah, I'd go with you on that as well, mate. I mean, you know, well, the FTSE really is starting to pick up some pace to the downside now. The thing with the euro is that well, sorry, the Swissy, I should say, is that that it does have that kind of risk off kind of element to it, doesn't it? And if we're thinking about the risk of currencies, the dollar would be up there, the euro, so the Swissy would be up there, and obviously the yen. And not a great surprise to see what's happening really with the price action. Gold and silver are the ones that I'm finding the most difficult to call, really. You know, in some respects, I think gold looks very attractive, and the issue is really the price manipulation, and I wonder whether that's mostly what we've got going on. I wonder whether it's just a kind of caged beast, just ready to kind of start to roll in a direction.
Can I see your charts on that? Because I haven't got those charts.
Well, of gold
and silver.
And silver, because, sure thing.
Yeah, I've been liking silver short for quite some time.
Yeah, and it is starting to ease as well. You know, both gold and silver have come down a bit today, but silver continues to look under stress.
Yeah, well, the big double top on the, I think it's the monthly chart, convinced me that it's got some downside.
You got my chart here, haven't you? Yeah. So this is the gold chart here, and it was interesting the price point. And yet again, mate, you know, you really did pick out this level as the targets, and you know, anybody that was looking for the long in gold, they would have looked at this price point as a potential area to take that profit, and that did happen. It poked through a little bit, but it didn't last very long, and it started to ease back down again. And the pattern's starting to look, you know, a bit under stress. And actually, because this area is held, and it might even be that we're looking at a trend line that's more like that. That looks nicer, actually. You're looking at a trend line that's more like that. Because this area is held, this is looking more, when you look on a weekly chart, more bearish than the initial kind of look of this was an inverted head and shoulders coming in round here. Actually, I don't need that. Coming in here, where we see the left shoulder. Sorry, we see the left shoulder here. We see the head, and then the right shoulder there, and then the neckline along here, which kind of looked like it was, and it might still get up to that point.
Yeah, it's still there, definitely still there.
This has to hold.
Yep.
You know, gold. Anything.
That's the key.
That's the key, yeah. Anything under sort of like the 1730 level, I think this is dropping probably quite significantly. But it does make it, you know, another opportunity. That the thing with gold is that I think it would be fantastic to have something with gold in the maybe not as a trade, but certainly in the portfolio. I think it's necessary to have some. The question is really about price point. Are we worried enough at this point to kind of start diving in? And the chart is at this stage not really suggesting we should be. The chart is suggesting that we need more information to really kind of like be convinced on this. It now needs to break through this area and come back, and that might well kind of start to encourage people to get in the long if it went through, held, and came back, rather than refusing it that it has so far. And then if it breaks here, then we're probably saying that that lower prices in gold would give us a better opportunity to maybe get in. Well, where are the price points? Probably here. I mean, that one there is right where we are. So you're kind of looking at the underside of the structure there, of this structure, and that's starting to look pretty good. You know, that's down at the 1550 level. I'd be okay with that, and there's a trend line here as well, albeit very steep. But the 1550 level would look pretty good to me as an opportunity. This area here, I think, Yeah, the 1350. I'm not sure whether that's likely, but this is where
You're going to give Ainsley nightmares tomorrow, mate. If you say that 1550, she doesn't like.
Yeah,
that.
do you know, mate? I mean, it's purely technical. The fundamental aspect of what tends to drive gold is the problem, because we have this possible strengthening in the dollar. The dollar is far outpacing what's going on with gold. And it's an issue because we've got inflation, certainly kind of coming into play, and gold should do really well in an inflationary environment. However, it's not as likely to do well if the Fed reacts. So if the Fed react to curb that down a little bit, then of course the dollar is going to appreciate, and as that appreciates, gold is going to depreciate. So that's the situation that we have with gold. I think it's what people almost need is for Jerome Powell to continue to say we're doing nothing, and then gold's got an opportunity to appreciate in value. Silver on the other side of it looks very bearish. It doesn't even look like it's got a chance of going higher at this stage. If we bring this onto a weekly, what we do have is a level here that again needs to hold, but this almost is starting to look like a more of a distribution pattern where gold at least has a hint of accumulation. But that's what it looks. That's the pattern it looks like to me, and we're at the lower end of that. So if this is to break down, then we're probably looking at these prices here, these prices down here, which is all the way down at 1880. So we're going from 2540 down to 1880. So we're looking at what's seven? That's like a 30% drop to the downside that we're looking at with silver. If gold was to drop 30% as well, then we are potentially looking at 7-ish, so 11. I mean, that would bring us down to actually the lower line. Yeah, I mean, if gold dropping down 30% it will bring us down to these lower levels here. I don't, I'm not saying that's going to happen, mate, but it could.
Yeah, look, I totally see it on silver, as I've said, but yeah, gold, I just don't know, mate. It's not until that little hammer's taken out. As you pointed out, I've still got to be on the long side of gold, I think. Not that I'm anything gold, but in terms of money invested, but from a analytical point of view.
Lewis is taking the 1775. I mean, you trade a bit of this, Lewis, don't you? So your opinion on this is probably more stable than mine. But yeah, that 1775 certainly looks like it's achievable. It needs something. Gold needs something to kind of start to drive it in the opposite direction, and the story just isn't there. It's at this stage. What would be great for it to play out in some respects is gold to be kind of considered done. So everybody all of a sudden sort of like says no, because that conversation was being had when Bitcoin was rallying to $60,000 an ounce, $60,000 a coin. that conversation was being had. Gold is done. It's not the safe haven anymore. We should be into Bitcoin. We should be into Ethereum, and that's going to be the store of value. We almost need that to come back into play to drive the gold price even lower, so we can pick it up. Because there's no doubt in my mind that gold will have some function as we progress through the years. So to have something there in the portfolio would be great. But it just sort of appears to be a bit pointless at this stage, you know. And look where we are. This is the all-time high that we saw in gold in 2011. Now we are currently below that all-time high by near enough what. It's down 100, so about 5%, sort of like from that high. But I think most significantly was the fact that when we went up beyond that all-time high, the push to the upside was nowhere near as significant as the S&P's previous all-time high in 2000 and well, when was it actually? Let's say before the pandemic. So pre-pandemic levels, the S&P has gone up like 50%. Nasdaq has gone up another 50% as well. Gold kind of, you know, it's not even pre-pandemic, but from its all-time high to where it eventually got to, it was up $200, maybe 10%. So it's really underperformed when you kind of like look at it as an asset class. And remember, gold doesn't pay anything, so I can see why people wouldn't be that interested. But we've got to remember, as I say, it still has its part to play. But I just think that at these levels here, it's just not very interesting. It would have to do something really exciting to say, right, we're going to get through those all-time highs and go. Otherwise, we should be looking here probably and going, well, you know, this is where we were before in 2011 and it failed. It's looking right now like almost like a false break to the upside from the previous level. And now maybe we should be looking for downside. I mean, this is a significant price point here.
Yep.
Now we should be looking. What's that, mate?
I said yes. It does look like that. I agree with that.
You know, and that would drive us down into, you know, possibly, as I say, you know, you're saying about giving Ainsley a heart attack, but it is possible it comes to 1400 or 1500, and at that point, I do think that gold becomes really interesting again. You know, for the cost of mining alone, it becomes an interesting play. But unless we think this is, as I say, we're going to get a frenzy here, do we really want to be participating in gold at these levels? And I've kind of changed my view. You know, I don't think we do. And remember the sentiment cycle, mate. Exactly. The Lewis brought us, and the sentiment cycle was a fascinating look into that. Looking at Bitcoin as the comparison to that, and what's been going on with Bitcoin. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to get down to this level here. That's at 1400, call it. But Bitcoin's also in a bit of trouble. And Shukri was getting concerned that we hadn't seen a retracement in the S&P while Bitcoin was coming down lower. Well, now we're getting it. So this is starting to also look like an interesting point of potentially lining up. It could be that this is the low. Could be. Doesn't look like it, but it could be. And this is still a really interesting point to accumulate. And again, if I wanted to buy into Bitcoin here, I need to be aware that there is a chance that this still is going to drop, possibly another 40% lower. So as long as I can cover the cost of that 40% drop and still purchase all the way down, this is worthwhile buying in here because it could be the low.
Hey, what's the monthly look like on there?
The monthly looks like
you won't even see it. Daily?
Daily looks like this.
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of a massive head on a very skinny shoulder.
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it? Which that would drop us into this price point, which is around about the $20,000. And you can probably tidy that up a little bit and drop it down to the next point of potential supports. So that would be the head and shoulders playing out at $20,000. That trend line would be met in the next week. and because we've got this grayscale unleashing, there's every chance that could happen in the next week, and then we start to pop to the upside again. So that's really got until the first week of August to meet those two levels, but that would supply confluence. Look at that on the weekly as well, sitting over there. We bring the monthly in. That's the previous all-time high that we saw back in 2018. So that would be a very strong level, really strong level at 20,000. So I think if we can be confident it's coming lower, that's a great point to start buying back in. Really good point to start buying back in. If we're not confident it's coming lower, then accumulating here it would be sensible. But that would be my personal view on it. Would be it's difficult really, isn't it? Because everybody's kind of got their own. Needs to get their own exposure to this stuff. But if you want to get exposure to the crypto market and you're not in already, you may need to start to kind of start accumulating here. But if you're comfortable not owning Bitcoin ever because you've already got some investments in this stuff, then I think waiting for 20,000 would be definitely the best way to go. I think that would be a great place to play it. It does look a bit like the Eiffel Tower, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, look, Lewis, that's one of my favourite things. If you are into charting at all, and all of us are here to a degree, noticing those things is certainly not the worst thing to do in the world, because they actually work. And that's how I, over time, have developed an idea of where price is likely to go. And because they finish up in shapes that are sometimes recognizable, sometimes not, I think if you use your imagination, and it's like looking at the stars in the sky, right? You can find just about anything you want, but sometimes there are things that just are crystal clear, and symmetry comes into it a whole lot, because markets do generally go up and down, up and down, up and down. That's what they do, in particular currency markets, right? Bitcoin, I can't really comment too much on. But whilst they're doing that, they're actually creating different shapes. And being able to recognize them is not the worst thing for your technical analysis, I can assure you of that. And just to answer a couple of questions, and yes, I'm totally still in EuroCAD, mate. I'm not on this account, however. I forgot to put it on this account when we actually put that trade on. But yes, definitely still in that. What else was there? G'day, Scalper Joe. How you doing, buddy? I'm not sure you're still in the room. Gary, mate, just a mid-range PC is the computer that I'm on. It's just that I left it too late in the day to try and set everything up. That's all. I'll get there. So by tomorrow it should be okay. And one thing, Ash, that I have noticed is that I managed to have got a mirror image of the background. I'm not sure how I managed to do that, but it probably is okay, because you're on one side of the mic. It looks like we're across a desk.
It does actually. What do you need it to do?
I don't know. It's okay, isn't it? You can see the sign. I've got the sign.
Your sign's in the same place as me, mate.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's not reading backwards?
It's not reading backwards, no.
Okay, it's just me looking in the mirror image then. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can...
I should know these things. It's all about cameras.
Yeah, that's mine's now reading backwards. Is that the way it should be, like okay. That?
So it's all good, eh?
I don't know. Is that better like that? You like that better? That actually looks better. Angel, this will be more jobs for Angel, which you probably won't want. I'll speak to her on Skype later. Yeah, what we'd need is exactly the same thing, but the mic on the other side, but with Trading Buddies not reading backwards, because it does if you mirror it, unfortunately. So you can't just mirror it.
Okay, so that's I'd have to look at the replay to find out, because I don't know what I'm looking at, frankly.
Yeah, no, yours looks okay, mate.
Well, yours to me looks okay, but mine doesn't. Whatever.
Well, yeah, yeah. Watch the replay. Watch the replay and have a look. It seems okay. The FTSE is holding this price point, mate, and I do think we need to be aware of this price point. And you know, I'm not going to underplay it, because this is a strong level of support here, and I am interested. I am interested in buying the FTSE here. I'm just waiting for a genuine signal to kind of get me in. And look at these bars; they're just not quite sure. You know, there's nothing really to suggest upside, but it's almost one of those price points that you could take without a signal, because it's much more likely to hold. And it wouldn't take much just to kind of pop up. I mean, you got a stop at 12 right now. Popping up to there is a 2-to-1 trade. I'm not going to do that, but this is a decent price point. So don't ignore this price point when you look away from your charts later on. Your price point should be at 6,900. So your 6,900 level, I think, is likely to get something like something up here and give us a bounce. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm not sure what that. Let's bring this in here a second. Just looking to see whether I might actually take a trade now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a punt here. I'm taking a punt on this one and taking a trade. So I am FTSE long, mate. I'm not going to go for much. I'm just going to kind of like, you know, try and get as always just first contact and get up to that point there. Just make sure it's initiated on all my accounts here. There we go. Okay, so we end the day with a trade. Play this as you will, of course. You know, stops at the lows may well be your particular choice. You know, what I was working out earlier was the 5% drift to the downside. So I'm going in very, very light, and that means that I've got a little bit of time to kind of have a look at stops. So the way I will look at this is by looking at this lower level here. And just because, you know, it's possible that we dig down a bit more, but then turn around. But I like this price point, so I think there's a chance that that putting a stop here, a hard stop, might well not service too well. So what I'd prefer to do is like have a mental stop at this level, and if the price starts to break down, then yes, close the trade off. But otherwise, I'm just quite happy to just to leave this and manage it. Just manage it as I go. Remember, I've got the ability to do that because I'll be in front of the chart. So if you don't, you're going to have to put a hard stop in. But that's not my preferred choice. So targets are going to be nice and shallow here at that point there. Let's come out around about there. And then see what else is on offer. What are we on? Let's target that there. Not even sure whether that's the same place actually. But I might fix this up and aim for that. Now, this upper level looks more interesting for a target. It's 69.38 because you've got the DS1. It's just that point there. So this might need a bit of analysis, and you may need to do this and just draw some levels in and see what the likelihood is. That looks okay, actually. It looks okay. Again, now that's going to be a soft target there. So just be aware of that, that you might need to come out earlier than earlier than the thing. I'm just going to make sure that these look the same here, mate.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only thing with the, see, this is the cash and the other one's the futures. So let me just see where the lower line that's on there. This may well end up being the target. It might be more shallow than I've given it. I'm going to give it some room and just see if there's enough momentum to take us a little bit higher. But ultimately, I think it's probably the lower one. Let's go somewhere in between, and just make sure that we don't get caught on a. And I'll give you those numbers that I'm going for. So it's probably here. So we got entry at 69, somewhere in the 6900 area, 6903. I think my ultimate entry was. Target is going to be at 6923, let's call it. So we're aiming for around 20 pips, and you've got a stop loss down at 6880. Now that, as I said, so you're looking at near enough, just better than a 1-to-1 if it was to spring out of here. But I'm using a soft stop loss, soft target. Just have a look at the charts as it goes. If there's some money to be made here, then let's not mess about too much, because this market is bearish and we are counter trend trading at this point. So I don't think we're going to get a huge spring to the upside and all of a sudden we're getting a complete trend reversal. Let's just see if we can get a little bite out of this market. I think there might even be a little trend line along here. Yeah, that might be, so it might be in this area here. So yeah, somewhere around about the 69.23 looks about right. So you're aiming for 20 up, and you've probably got around about the same to the downside. So it is around about a 1-to-1. But let's see how we go, mate. Usually pretty good on Mondays, so yep. we'll see what we got. But it's no guarantee, as always.
All right, mate. One last thing for me to look at, and that is the euro, as we do, or as I try to do each and every day. I will share that with you. So I haven't got the pivots on my charts yet. I haven't got my templates fully over. So this is looking really interesting to me, euro dollar, because we are at, well, I'll call it an inflection point. The reason I'm saying that, this is the weekly chart here. This level's been historically sound, certainly as resistance through here and as a center of consolidation. False break to the downside and now creating that trend line that we can see, or trade line as I call them. And we're right on it. The thing with right now is, we'll go a bit tighter. The thing with right now is that we're right on that level. And this is suggesting to me that we are going to have a little bit of upside here, but may have a look at this. This is a breakout. I'm not keen to trade here, obviously. Breakouts for me happen a long way from where they actually occur. So I'll be looking, to get into a breakout short up here somewhere. But I think this has probably got potential to bounce at this level, maybe come back and retest the breakout level of that consolidation on the 4-hour chart. Can I trade it? Daily pivot, where's the day begin? Well, there's a gap there. So that would have been the first candle of the day. Above the daily pivot, below the daily pivot, retest the daily pivot, smashed it. So it's gone straight to that support level. This is a great area to trade from for that reason. So I'm not convinced on a direction at this point. But if this breaks and gets a retest, in particular at that confluence of lows here and trade line, then I think the shorts will probably continue. But if we look like that's turning into a false break, and maybe we can find that on a smaller time frame, don't like a trade line across here, so you're going to have to be patient on that one to get another couple of lows. So support trade line through here somewhere later in the day. Look for that to become a false break, and I think you can trade it back to this level here, shorter time frames. But either way, short or long, I think this is a really good place to trade from. I think this will, if it continues momentum, it'll probably pick up a little bit of momentum at that point. because we've got now a gap to probably there, maybe even a little bit lower than that. So about 200 pips down, I reckon, if that gets clearer here, we'll see. But it could easily go back into the range, of course. So look at this area. And the reason I'm saying it, because this area is where I think that trade will emanate from. It's either going to here or to here. We'll see. Right, mate, that's me. And that's us for the day.
It is, mate. Yes, it is. I realise my name has been online profits or whatever for the whole day, which is not good. I've just changed it to
There's quite a few. There's quite a few of us with that name.
Okay, guys. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a nice Monday winner. As I say, we've got a pretty good record on a Monday, so I like to take my Monday trades if possible. Sets us up nicely for the week. So we'll see what we get out of this one. Be careful, make sure that you got your plan set. Depending on which way you're trading with this. If you're trading with leverage, then just make sure that those stops are tight. You've got to make sure that you got a hard stop if you're trading with leverage. But if you're not, then you can be a little bit looser and start to just have a look at the chart and see how it starts to form for you, and either take the trade off or figure out how you're going to manage it. Okay, you are welcome, Paul P. More than welcome. And we will see you all tomorrow at the same trade time and the same trade channel. Thank you to you guys. Thank you to Angel. And thank you to you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, buddy. And thanks to all our trading buddies for being here for the day. Sorry, I'm a little bit disorganized because of my new technical setup. I'll try and improve on that overnight. Thank you, Angel, for sending that through. And we will catch you guys tomorrow, as Ash says, at the very same time. Bye-bye.